Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Freedom Podcast. My name's Adrienne Rose, and today we're going to be talking about the illusion of competition. So, throughout my journey, what's helped me to release the notion that we are all in competition with one another is really diving into my own faith in myself and then understanding that the more I express my own unique individuality, the less competition I have in my field. Now, we've all experienced the discomfort that comes with feeling insecure, but it's something that you don't have to suffer from. You don't have to be a victim or a slave to this feeling. And I believe that competition is an illusion because when you really dig into it, it's a fear based belief system or BS. Once you understand that God only knows infinite abundance and humans are the only creatures that believe in scarcity, it helps you to release this notion that we are competing for the same things or vying for this like limited space. It couldn't be further from the something that helped me on my journey was to release this fear-based belief in lack. We can learn so much from the trees. Their arms are always outstretched. They're always welcoming in the abundance, welcoming in the rain, the sunshine, the air, the oxygen, like they're taking in all of these things. Competition only exists when you believe that there's a limited supply of success, which is egregiously false. The fear of competition comes from a fear of not being chosen. And, when you really dig into human psychology, everybody's bottom line is I'm not good enough. I'm too tall, too short, too fat, too skinny. I'm not pretty enough. I can't sing great enough. And we believe these things about ourselves. Well, people won't accept me the way that I am. I have a fear that I'm not good enough. So I'm afraid I won't be picked for this job. Rather than let's counter that, the alternative would be to replace those lack mindset principles with principles of faith and trust. And you build inner trust and faith in yourself by constantly showing up. If you do the best you can all the time, and that way it silences the inner critic and the inner judge that we all have to deal with. It really gets into transcending the ego, which is like a lifelong journey. So don't be hard on yourself if you're not there yet, because we are all students of life every day, till the day we die, till we get off this ride, we're always going to be learning, growing, hopefully. I know for myself, I'm a musician and I've experienced a lot of unnecessary drama and jealousy in the beginning. I don't anymore. And that's really because I have leaned so far into my own unique specialty that I don't have any competition in this field because nobody can do exactly what I can do. I love speakeasy jazz. I'm a house music DJ. And the more I whittle that down and express that one area, like you corner that market because not everybody is going to be able to do that, right? Now, if I'm just more generalized, like I can play a little bit of everything, which is kind of what every musician does in the beginning. But, when somebody's like, well, I can play a little bit of everything, there's a ton of competition out there. But let's say, you play Baroque clown music while riding a unicycle and juggling hacky sacks. I mean, that's a very specific market, and almost nobody is going to be able to compete with you if that is your niche. So the further you dive, you will eliminate all competition. Now, nobody would ever think to hire me for a Kenny Chesney cover band. Like, that is the furthest thing from my field. So I would never be in that pool. And just like our fingerprints are so unique to our own identity, that is also how you have to look at what you bring to the job market, whatever your field is. Only you will have that specific set of characteristics, and somebody out there is going to be looking for exactly who you are, exactly what you bring to the table. And when you start to get confirmation, that's what builds your self confidence. And then you'll be able to lean into that and have more faith and more trust in your abilities and trust in the universe to match you with like energy. And you'll stop worrying so much about, am I good enough? In the beginning, I had jealousy. And yeah, definitely there were other musicians who were like, she doesn't belong here. They didn't want me playing at their gigs. And which to me is just silly because I'm the opposite. I always want to help people. I want to bring everybody with me. Come on, let's go. I'll show you exactly what I did. I love to help people, but that's because, again, I trust in my own ability to provide for myself. And I'm also grateful too. Like, be grateful when something is not for you. Because I have taken gigs that where I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can do that." People ask me like, "Hey, I know you're a jazz band, but can you also just play Tom Petty?" And I'm like, "I mean, well, yeah, I can, but I don't excel at that. It's not gonna be a great performance. It's not gonna be excellent. I don't like being ordinary. I like to be excellent. I will never be excellent as a Tom Petty cover band. Can I play it? Yes, I'm a musician. I can play anything, but I want to be excellent. And so that's the thing. When you niche down, define yourself into whatever it is you do, you have zero competition in the world. I have a lot of thoughts about jealousy too. Jealousy is when you see something someone has and you want it and you're resentful that they have it when you believe that you deserve it. Jealousy is really a projection of somebody else's insecurities, and it's an area that they have yet to heal in their own psyche. Everybody should be working to heal jealousy. I think it's a very undignified quality. I definitely have worked on that in myself. And when I see people who have something I want, I just ask them, like, when I see a beautiful woman or I see somebody who is very successful, I'm like, how did you do that? And usually people love to share their stories. They're happy because a lot of times people don't get asked questions and they would love to share their wisdom, but they just don't always have the opportunity. So don't be afraid to ask people how they achieved success. I mean, it's something that you'll have to gauge, like when the appropriate time and place is to do that. But for the most part, successful people like to share their wisdom with others. So don't be afraid to just ask people. Jealousy is really at the core, I think, is just resentment and bitterness and nastiness. I think it's a dark shadow quality of the ego. And I do take pity on people who exude jealousy. I think it's embarrassing for them. You don't need to do that. Most of the time, if you just ask people how they got to where they are, they'll happily tell you and give you advice. And if not, just bring you along with them. So you got to let that go. I mean, it's really just holding you back. There's no need for that, especially as an adult. Also, too, there's something that's so magical about when you are really plugged in and authentically aligned with who you are, your connection with God. Honestly, I don't even know how people do this without God, without a higher power. But when you are aligned with the creative energy that flows through you from God, from our creator, there is nothing any human being could do to rob you of that experience. And competition is a lower vibrational energy and it kills the creativity. When you are monitoring what other people are doing, you are not in your creation energy. When you move out of the lack and competition thinking, the scarcity thinking, it allows you to move into a space of peace and trust. And when you trust the process, that's when the creative energy opens up. You have to really sit with it. It's something that can't be faked. Everybody has to go through. And, all human beings are the same. We all have the same flaws and the same emotions. And I feel bad for people who suffer rather than just looking within and addressing and confronting these things. I mean, it's not easy or fun, otherwise everybody would do it, but, everything you want is right on the other side of that. So I would advise everybody to really just leap into those feelings. When you feel discomfort, ask yourself, why do I feel uncomfortable? Like, what is it about this person if I feel triggered? Because the trigger is the gift. That is your way out. Whenever I'm triggered by something, I will just sit with it and contemplate it and just feel the discomfort. And that is what moves us into a greater place of growth. When we are able to expand our energy, we sit with something that's uncomfortable, we feel it, we brush up against it, we're like, I don't like that. Um, that is when you're able to expand your consciousness and you bring those uncomfortable feelings into a place of comfort. You assimilate them. That is when you raise your consciousness, emotional maturity. And also, too, that's where my creativity comes from. Like, whoever wrote a song when they were like in the happy place, happy, happy, yay, joy, joy, everything's great, sunshine and rainbows. Like, no, the best albums are come from pain and misery and angst and discomfort and heartbreak. Like, so if you're feeling uncomfortable, jealousy is just one of those shadow emotions, but lean into that, especially if you're an artist. That's where all the best art comes from, best movies, music. when we're uncomfortable, whenever you've gone through a breakup, lost a job, or experienced grief when you were broke, or, something tragic happened to you, that's when greatness happened. It forced you to do something different. So I would really advise people to lean into those uncomfortable emotions. It allows you to tap into a place of cosmic consciousness, if you believe in that kind of thing, which I do. It's pretty cool. So, one of my favorite quotes is from Hemingway, where he says that the only person I'm in competition with is the man that I was yesterday. And I think that is the only real metric for our growth. Are you better than the person you were yesterday? Did you learn anything new today? Did you grow in any way? Did you express yourself authentically? Growth replaces rivalry, and mastery replaces comparison. So we just need to really get those thoughts out of our head that there's abundance. Most people skip over the unpleasant parts of our character. Human beings, we're all the same. We really are. We think we're so different in so many ways, but we're not. We all have the same basic wants, emotions, and needs. Everybody wants to feel loved. Everybody wants to feel significant in some way. Most people want to feel fulfilled through connection. Most people want to leave some type of legacy when they leave this planet, and we think we're so different, and we have unique aspects to our personalities. However, we all have the same, for the most part, basic wants and needs. And one of the greatest joys is really stripping away what I perceive people expected of me, right? And so we all have these masks that we wear, and they say that the truest version of you is the one when you're at home and nobody else is looking. So the idea is to become that version of yourself no matter who you're speaking to. And obviously, you'll have to gauge and know your audience, of course. But that has been, I think, one of the greatest experiments for myself. And also, too, I think it's worth noting, if you are younger, something magical happens when you turn 40. You just have zero cares left to give. And that is super liberating. So if you're struggling with this, I promise you, if you do the inner work now, by the time you hit 40, you will be in the best emotional state that you've ever been in. And then you can really begin to live your life in the freest way. This podcast is all about freedom. I'm interested in breaking the chains that constrain us in any way possible. I don't want to live as a prisoner in my own mind and body. And a lot of the inner healing work that only we can do is actually the way out. We have the keys to our own proverbial prison that we put ourselves in when we put these constraints on ourselves. Like, I have to behave this way, I have to perform this way. People expect this of me. And especially if you have a career that's social, like being a performer, every night I go out, I have to wrestle with that to a degree. People want me to be certain things, and I have to sometimes draw boundaries. I love, like, when I play at piano bars and people give me requests and stuff, but there's also a lot of things where I'm like, yeah, I don't do that because I'm not going to do it well. Number one. Number two, I won't enjoy that. And it doesn't align with who I am. And they can have their own feelings about it, and that's perfectly fine. But that doesn't mean I have to bow down to the will of every random person I meet. So that's up to you. You have the ability to define exactly what you want your life to look like, and you're the one that's going to have to live it. So you better make it good and make it count, and don't live your life at the whims of others. People change their minds all the time. So do not worry if somebody likes you or dislikes you. I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody come up to me and say, I really didn't like you at first, but then I got to know you and I changed my mind. Like, great. I cannot be attached to your opinion of me, whether you love me or hate me. I still have to love myself. I still have to go to bed with myself every night and have a clear conscience. And I won't live my life governed by people's fleeting, changing perceptions, right? So we can't live our life like that. When we all depart from this planet, I don't want to have to face myself and say, gosh, I wish I would have been more authentic. Gosh, I wish I would have done XYZ. I want to go being like, oh my God, that was a hell of a ride. And I'm so glad that I did everything exactly the way that I wanted to. And I didn't bow down to what other people expected of me. I lived my life authentically. And particularly in music, you think about a lot of the greatest artists, like they were people who defied what others thought of them. When Prince was growing up, what do you think people thought of him when he was in high school? That is an odd man, right? We know so many fabulous artists who were celebrated, like Michael Jackson, and just all these wonderful characters who broke the mold. And you don't achieve greatness by becoming a mediocre copy of someone else's genius. Like you do it by tapping into the most authentic expression of yourself. Final thought. That's my 2 cents about that. And if you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. It's my wish for you that everybody gets to experience the most extraordinary version of your life possible. Like life is short. Let's make it sweet. Okay. So cheers, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share. It helps me to put out more content. I like to connect with you guys. My life is better when I connect with others and seeking answers and also connection with like minded humans, which is why I started this podcast in the first place. So if you are drawn to this in any way, just know that you have an ally out there in the world and somebody who gets you and understands you. So cheers, you guys. Peace and love. Happy New Year. 2026 is going to be amazing. I can feel it already. It just feels like this softness and a gentleness coming in. The cosmic energies and the Schumann resonance are off the charts. This is a measurable frequency. If you guys follow the Schumann resonance of the planet, it's a global frequency. Things just feel so much better. I feel like there's healing. Things are being exposed right now. But the best thing that we can do is, as light workers, is really to hold peace and love on the planet. It's easy to dip into fear-based thinking. So make sure that you are also being an anchor for others. Hold the line, hold the peace, hold the love. I'm wishing you guys abundance and keeping you all surrounded in God's golden light. So cheers, God bless, and we will see you next time.